Hello everyone, my name is Ozzy Horn and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. I know you weren't expecting a video too early, but I'm trying to get through this. Hopefully we finish this soon. So here we are, recipe for turnabout. And yeah, let's get to it. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. We still haven't solved a single part of it yet. You okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes. No, that wasn't doubt. That was, determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger. Don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Hey, pal! Oh. Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How did you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Oh. You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this will help. Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. This is the small bottle that turned up in Tribulations' kitchen a couple days ago. Wow, look at all these little bottles. Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. You got so many, they're overflowing onto the floor. Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either. And it doesn't smell. Finally got the analysis result back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication. Medication? Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. For ears? You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glenn Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Or they might have gotten something on the prints, but... that's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today. Got it? Today's trial. Gonna expose that guy for what he's done. Well, my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Ace Attorney. Damn it, he should have said that. Here we go. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. And we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank from it with his right hand, but according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godo. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You lost me already, Mr. Godo. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You gotta change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answer to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand. Okay, Armstrong. And you are? Oh, bonjour, everyone. I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Tribulations restaurant at Chante. Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman? Oh la la, monsieur. As you can see, I am the pet and perky gentleman, non? The day of the incident, you were in Tribulations kitchen. Isn't that right? Where's you, monsieur? Everything feels right. Huh. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy? Very well, your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Tribune. Oui, volunteers. It all happened. There were 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decor that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Oui, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. La cup, la earpiece, and la glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, non? Mirror? Oui, un grand mirror. La most enormous mirror. And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. I would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. Well then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Objection!
Ah, there we go. The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lines of his specs. No question. You can look me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt. So to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactement, you see, monsieur. Now that you think about it, it is not so hard, non? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Yeah, that's a good point. Order, order. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness generally observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
Objection!
How bitter. Trent, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. Oh, he thinks? You remember this, I presume? I broke the face. Sorry, apology. Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. L? Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. L's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Well, trite. Ugh. That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever. Man, I really thought he was old seedy for a minute there. Godo's good. Enough. I must agree that yesterday witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony. Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash. A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears. Oui, I can explain. Please, if you look at the plans of the restaurant. Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? Amir, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There's only one seat, which you could have seen an image of la victim. It was the seat at the table next to la victim. That was where the old man was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. You did not touch anything else. I see no problems with the explanation we have just heard. On the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror. What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like this. Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again. Ugh, I hate that guy. Sure you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror? Are you quite sure about that? But yes, of course. Very well. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
Objection!
Oh, I got it. Your Honor, Mr. Kudo's words yesterday strongly contradict Mr. Armstrong's testimony. This is the letter of the apology that was written by Mr. Kudo, is it not? I realize it looks useless, Your Honor, but this is still testimony. Huh. I guess useless people are only really good at identifying useless things. What relevance does a scrap of paper have to do with the trial, Mr. Wright? Mr. Kudo's testimony is actually very relevant to the question at hand, Your Honor. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. Oh, the crime scene photo.
Take that!
This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor. A crime photo? Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Should not exist? Ha, sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite. Rude. Hold on, the defense would please clarify its statement. What is something that should not exist in this photo? It's, the vase.
Take that!
There's one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not in fact sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection!
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. The seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. There's only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Tribulations that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Oh dear!
Objection!
Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene.
Objection!
Unfortunately, Mr. Godo, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary, in his own words. I did not touch anything else except the mirror. Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? Oh boy. I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear when she couldn't hear? Heh. You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If it hands a disc, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it. You going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? There's more than just this one contradiction, Miles. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. All flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up. Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradiction in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. The victim is a phony. This case is filled with contradictions. Yet, there is one very simple answer that clears them all up. What is that? The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. Order in the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you say? Right. Are you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yeah. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection!
Get real, Trite. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was... The serving girl brought him a Javakino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl, right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but... There was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. Show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Objection!
Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... It's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening. That's right! Well, witness? The restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics. You would have known about it, correct? Oh la la. This is most difficult for me.
Objection!
No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Tribulations that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened. The defense request for additional testimony is accepted. I'll accurately explain in detail the events in the restaurant that day. We... He came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Mon El became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. There was no time for the phony to do la acting. Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all. I won't demand pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly. What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later. Oui. For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please. You took that perjury charge a bit too well. I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui, he comes often for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You are most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. Almost Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh no, I cannot remember, monsieur. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir. That perhaps jog your memory, witness? The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., none? Just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful. Ha! I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? Time of day will be added to the witness's testimony. Oui, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you. Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? Ha! Glad at least one person is in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. I remember the old man arrived not long after, and just after 2 p.m.
Objection!
There we go. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. What? What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. That must be the show man Elg was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time, because I had just finished serving my lunch menu. Get to the point, Wright, if you have one. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. They claim to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on the air at 1:30? Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. God! This victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over. There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. There were 2 Glen Elgs in Tribulations that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer. And the phony Glen Elg, acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness. It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection!
Quite a performance, Wright. You're almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony elk is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Glen Elk is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court, however. At that time, the real Glen Elk was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Objection!
Thank you, Trite. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours. Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. But that customer was the phony Glen Elk. Then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? Prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. Conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence? Well, what's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? What I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. Elk concealed? I think it was inside. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Tribulations. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed inside Tribulations is... I believe it might be the kitchen.
Take that!
The body was hidden here. I true. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location?
Take that!
Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? None. I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me. Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen at Tribulations. Okay. But I only ever use this bottle for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. L visited an ear clinic and was given medication that day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle match the prescription that was given to Mr. L. Glenn L's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. None! Order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn L? Never! I could never do such an horrible thing. No! Got out? Oh! Mr. Godo! Oh, he's pissed. Bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my H-deficient friend? Chef, demand pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It is a chap. Listen to me. Por favor. Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? None. Absolutely none. Simply, Let's hear it. You got one shot, right, Gramps? Yes, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godo's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel. Oh, wait, it is clear. What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. It is true, I hid the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him, because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me. You were forced? By who? I cannot say, or I will be erased. Let's try a different question, then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table? There was... Oh? There was another man. I knew it! And he was telling the truth. I'm gonna cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I'm gonna break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. He said he had a reason why he did it.
Objection!
Got it! $500,000 debt, don't you? For $500,000? Is this true, Mr. Armstrong? Oui, j'assisto cela. I was weak and I borrowed the money. Oh boy. This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. Furier.
Take that!
$500,000 loan from a black market loan shark, and you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything. This man told you. Wait, it is as you say. Mr. Armstrong, the tiger. He told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. In question, he was meeting the victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I hired the body and lying conscious Maggie out of the dining area into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I'd seen. I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tiger. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well? None! I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable. Mr. Godo. You will summon this Furio Tiger as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. Oh? 30 minutes. What? The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get the guy on the stand. Not a minute more. How the... Don't just sit back and relax yet, Wright. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial can still go either way. Very well. The request is granted, Mr. Godo. We'll resume once Mr. Tiger is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. We got him now. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the video today. Sorry it was a short one, but we'll be finishing this up real soon. But until then, if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Until then, take care and goodbye.